why scopes are a must-have tool for anyone serious about color grading in Davinci Resolve. Scopes are not just another tool, they are essential to achieving the accurate, consistent, and professional look that sets your work apart. Whether it is balancing contrast, perfecting skin tones, or adjusting hues, scopes guide you to make the right adjustments every time. Let's dive into how you can use scopes to level up your color grading game. And I should tell you that if you are new to this channel, ensure you subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you keep getting pro tips on Davinci Resolve and how to improve your cinematography. So that is just all we do here. For today's tutorial, we'll be using these two videos that was, shot light by myself and, people that will work at the studio together. And it is a frame of my wife. So shout out to her, if she's seeing this, and she helped me to thank her because she gave us our clip. She gave us rights to use our video. Scope is very, very essential. You can't color grade properly if you do not understand scopes. So, and maybe if you are new to Davinci Resolve, you might be seeing this keyframe first, and you are wondering where your scopes are. So there is no need to panic. Just come here, and use your mouse to check the scope, and then on your scopes, and then you'll be able to have access to everything. In the previous tutorial that I did, which was about log wheel and then primary wheels, I explained to us that there is a need for you to always check your scopes, whenever you are using all of these settings. Whenever you are working on your primary color wheels, you are using your log wheels. In fact, might even be your HDR. It is always very important for you to know how to follow thoroughly, so you are not just adjusting them. It helps you. It is just like a compass, a way scale that helps you to know whether you are balancing things or not. So someone now asked me that, is it possible I make a video on scopes? And that is the reason why I am making this. So scopes are just a guide for your color grading too. So, and if you're watching here, you would see that I'm only having one of my scopes here, and you can easily just enlarge it by pressing this button, and you can just use Ctrl+Shift+W to expand all your scopes. It can only show you 4 scopes per time actually, and if you have another monitor, this could solely just be on another monitor. So I used Ctrl+Shift+W to expand, and you can use Ctrl+Shift+W to close it as well. So I'm using just one monitor for this tutorial. You will see that it has menu for just one box, which is a single view, 2 view, 3 view, and then we have 9 view. So now let's go on the first menu, which is a single view. This would only show you your parade, and you can switch in between if you want this parade, waveform, Vectorscope, Histogram, CI, Chromaticity. It is just about your option. Like I said before, if you were here and the only thing you just want to do is just to have one here, and you are working on, there are 5s, and then you are just working on all of this together, you could choose. And if you have a separate monitor, like I said, you can choose to have 2 per time. You can choose to have 4 in a frame. You can choose to have 9. It is just a repetition of Vectorscope, which is 3 already, and then we are having other forms. So I would just advise you leave it on 4, or if you're working on a smaller screen, if your screen is very small, just leave it on just 1 that you want to work on. So I'll leave this on parade, and then I would enlarge it again. So when we click on these options for 4, it gives us option for the very first one, and you can always switch it. Like I rightly said, if you want Vectorscope here, if you want histogram here, you can always switch it to whichever way that you want. I would rather have my scopes being viewed this way. So let's see how we can manipulate the settings. When you come here, you can use it to switch in between any of the options that you want for the moment. And when you now come here, this is my parade, this is waveform, this is Vectorscope, this is my histogram, and then the last one that we have is this CIE Chromaticity. That might be your option that you want, but this is going to be the last thing that we are going to share after the whole class. So I will just leave this on histogram so that we can just have basically our 4 scopes. Now let's go to the menu that this parade is having presently. So it has RGB, which is your red, your green, and then your blue channel, and then we have options for colorize. You may choose to take off your color, but once you are working under your RGB, I usually would, whenever I am doing my basic color correction, I would use waveform, or I'm trying to color balance, I'm trying to short match, I usually would work on RGB for this. It is the most preferable one. That's my personal opinion. You need to leave it colorize, and then this extent would not be on. If I should check it off, you would see a change that has happened in my parade. Let me check it back on. So it shows you the extent at which all these colors are spread. That is your red, your blue channels, and then your green channels. So that is the extent. If you don't need it, but I always love seeing the peak of my parade, so I always leave it on. And then this is for the brightness of your parade. If you don't want it strong, if I'll just leave it on. I'll just leave it here, and this is the brightness of your graticle. That is the lines. If you want your lines to be very, very, very bright, or if you don't want the lines at all, so it is better you leave it just according to your preference. And then show reference level, and show reference level for your low range and your high range is what we are going to come back to later. And before I forget, also I should tell you that this YRB, it works to add this white extra channel for you, which I really don't use. And this YCBCR is for your white channel, your blue channel, and then your red channel. I don't use this. Like I said, I usually would just stay on RGB, and it is important for you to leave all of these settings on. That's what I personally do, because it works a whole lot for me. Just leave it on RGB, and in case your own is fresh, like I said, you can check your colorize, check it on, check your extent on, and then your low, and all of these ones we are going to come back to it. If I were to be making an adjustment on my picture, my brightness, my contrast, all of those things, Wave is always my monitor to use in doing that. And then when it comes to color grading, I use Parade. When it is Vectorscope, when I'm doing my skin tone and then trying to control my colors to bracket them properly, I usually would just use my Vectorscope for that. So now let me come back to this waveform. So, and let's check the options for it. You can colorize it, but I don't want it colorized due to just one reason. Like I said, I don't use it for color grading. I only use it to do short matching, for brightness, for contrast, to get a proper exposure. So I don't need any color on it. So I will take this off. And then this is extent. It shows you the extent of your scopes of your waveform for that particular point in time. And then your waveform, this is the brightness for both as well, if you want it very bright and if you want it less. And then this is for your graticle as well, if you want those lines really, really enhanced, that you want to see them much better. And then this one, I am going to reset it as well. We are going to come back to it. So I will just turn my colorize off, and then I will leave my extent on. And that is going to take us to the next one, which is our Vectorscope. So when I'm working on my Vectorscope, I use Vectorscope to work on my skin tone, especially. That is the only place where I usually would come to use my Vectorscope. So if I'm under my Vectorscope, let us check out the menu that we have here. This is the option for colorize. Of course, I always leave it on colorize. I've seen tutorials, I've seen colorists that would tell me that they would rather not want it this way. You can check your extreme on as well, and this combine, it is just like extent as well. So but me, I really do not use it, because I can't once my extent is checked on, I see no reason to use combine. And then this is for the brightness of your grade, and then this is the graticle, that is for the lines, how bright or how less strong you want it to be. Low range and then the high range, we are coming back to that. And then this is the option for graticle. If you don't want your graticle, you can either turn the brightness off here or you check it on. And then this is our skin tone indicator. So I'll be going back to the screen so that we can see how this work on our Vectorscope. So look at my Vectorscope. This is still even a flat image, but once I am coming here, it is showing me where the skin tones are. It will show me, I can use this to just navigate. And should, in case you don't have, these options that give you, where you are on your scope, you can just come here, and you check your display qualifier focus. We are going to get there fully. You can see that nothing is happening here. So I'll come back here and I'll check on my display qualifier focus. It helps me to know where exactly I am hovering on. So if I'm checking on this, model skin, it is just telling me, oh, this is where you are. This is what is happening now. This is where, the skin tone is. So I'll go back to the full screen for the scope. And, if you are not seeing it very well, you can actually check on show ×2 of the zoom. So, this line indicates a perfect skin tone. If you don't want to fall at this other side, this is just the same as our color wheel. And, in between this wheel, on this line rather, you are going to have a blend of yellow and red, which might give us orange. Depending on the kind of skin that you are working on, the person might be a melanin skin person, the person might be a dark, might be a very fair person, can be Caucasian. Once you are right on this line, it will help you to do, a proper skin work for the person. Helps you to know what a perfect skin is. And come what may, you don't want to be at this side. You want to always fall in straight on this line is the most preferred, the most preferred color scheme. The most preferred staying on this line gives you a perfect skin tone, and that is very important. So I will turn this off just for my personal preference. And this is our histogram chart, and that is going to take us to our next scope, which is our histogram. Histogram is usually measured like a mountain, and you can see that it has the same graph. I explained this rightly in the previous video, and if you missed that video that I did on how to primary wheels and log wheels, ensure you check the link showing up, in this showing up right now, and I will leave a link in the description as well, so that you can, work with log wheels and then understand your scopes as well. It will enhance your skills, and you just know that you know what you are doing properly. So on my histogram here, it measures my shot exposure. Even on camera, right, you would always see your histogram if your camera is a very, very good one. So it measures how bright or how dark your images are, your exposure. Notice that these graphs are all the same, from 0 to 1023, 0 to 1023, and the same thing is what we have under our histogram as well. They are the same chart that has different things in it. It is just like when you are plotting your graph. One is just on horizontal, the other is on vertical, the other is on, Let me reset our histogram as well, because, I'd done a whole lot of customization on my... Okay, yeah, so that just takes something off that I said I was going to explain. So now, if you anything that is lesser than this line, you will start crushing your black. And if there is anything, any of your shot that is coming to this area, that means I am clipping my white already. And that's just the same way it works for, our waveform. So now we are going to fix all of these things practically and see if I am doing my basic correction. I usually would use my waveform for that. And these are the settings that I always leave it on. I just leave it this way. Yours is just going to be like this if you are new to Davinci Resolve, or if you have not done all of those settings, then I'll check my extent on. Now we want to apply it on a practical, image, and then I would check my show reference level. Here, under your graph, under your scopes, whenever, you may not even be able to see it very well. It is just showing you 128 and then 0. And then, you are just having the numbers multiplied by whatever they use in multiplying it. For your lowest range, that your black must not cross is 64, and then for your highest, I just added a line, and that is why you can see the show reference now. This line that I just made here is for the graph of 64. You would not even see it. I will take off my colorize. I will just work the way I usually would work. So I would, once I am crushing this black, you are just, even under your 128, you don't even know where you are. You are just seeing 128. 128 is the limit that your scope is showing you here under your waveform. You do not even know if it is. So that is why I needed to create a custom one after studying scope, and I discovered that the lowest range that your black must not go beneath is 64. For your eye range, the peak is 1023. Once you exceed anything on this 940, it means that your image is clipping already. Once you click on show reference level, it will give you this range. So if I'm pulling my shadows down now, I would be able to see that, okay, right now I'm still not clipping because I have not passed, that line of 60, 64. And if I should, put this image on full screen, you can see I'm not crushing my blacks yet. Everything still looks right. This is still a flat image. I've not even done, any conversion. So I'm increasing my highlight. If I do not have this thing checked before, can you see? Me having this bar that I just added will just be a guide for me to know that I must not cross this line, which is the 940. But if I do not have this line checked on, let me turn it off, and then I am increasing my highlight, it will just go straight. Because I already set that limit that is here. So I'll go back here and then I'll just reset everything. I'll put it on the option that I use, turn off my colorize, turn off my extents. My low is now on 0 and then my high is on 1023. Let me just reset my gain for this. And then I want to increase my grain. If I should turn my show reference level off, it will just let me know that I am just exceeding. I'm already on 1023 and I won't even know exact where my stop is. So I don't know if you got that. Trust me, you can always go back to watch this video if you feel like you do not understand it. Take your time to understand instead of just wanting to skip any part of the video. So I will come back here and then I would add my low point again. Once I am clipping, I immediately would know that, I am clipping. And once I am crushing my image as well, it just serves as a reference for me to know that don't go beyond this point. Our parade as well, you can make the same settings for your parade, and that is just what I am going to do now. Show reference points. I'll give the same option as well so that I am not crushing anything. And then you can see it now that these are the extents that I don't want to push my color past whenever I am color grading, or even if I am working under my, let's say I am working under my RGB mixer and then I want to raise my red. Once it is there, I know already I am crushing, and this is just not making any sense again. And then you can do the same settings for every even for your histogram. You can come here, check show reference levels, add your 64, and then this is going to be 940, and see, we now have this line that is showing as a guide for us. You can check every other settings that we have now. Under your waveform style, you can shoot 10 bits, 12 bits, percentage, MV, whichever one, and it is always on data scopes, which does not show you the real thing. Let me put this on a full screen. Once I come here and then I choose video level scopes, it shows me the accurate thing, which is where I have made my line. Now I can easily then work with this. That is just how it works. And maybe few last thing that we'll be going through is, I usually would just love to leave it on 10 bits. If you have a very, very good system, you can, choose every other options that, works for you. Vectorscope style, choose the other one that you want. I just love to leave this on default, and I've explained this display qualifier focus for us. Once I turn it off, you would not see it, but if I should come back here and then I check in my display qualifier focus, and it will not work if you are not using your qualifier. So if I'm using this, it won't show me anything. So even despite the fact that I have activated it already, so you've got to still come back here and then activate your qualifier, because it is a qualifier focus. It will let me to know where I am. You can see these are my highlights, these are the brightest part of my image. It will just be able to guide me. I would know even when you are under your parade, it lets you know that, okay, this is where you are Can you see? Can you see where my blacks are? Can you see? Can you see? And then if you don't want it to be extra bright, low pass filter, it just put a filter that reduce the impact of it, and then it becomes clearer and you will just be able to see it really, 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 really clear. So we call it low pass. We've been able to treat 4 of the scopes, and the last one that we'll be sharing right now is the CIE Chromaticity. This helps you to know the range of colors that you are working in. Right now we are working in Rec 709, which does not have a whole lot of color space. So if I'm changing from this, I'm even yet to convert the shots that we are using. Let me see if I can do a fast conversion, and then I'll just reset this. And if I were to be doing my color correction, I don't even think I need so much to do here. Maybe erase this and then reduce my highlight a bit. Using my waveform, I can see where I am presently. With this I can see the range of the color space that I am working in, and you can see the limit of my Rec 709. So which I'm still, because I've not even done any color grading. So, and this even helps you to change your color space. If you want to change the color space that you are working in, you can come back here. Look at what Rec 709 is giving us, versus if we were to be working in Davinci white gamut. You can see the difference. Look at the space. Look at that is why many people would always tell you that you should work in Davinci white gamut space, and then look at it versus Rec 2020, which is another workspace. Look at this is quite smaller compared to working on Davinci white gamut. So this video is not even focusing on that. In a future video I am going to make a tutorial for us, so that we can understand what exactly is Davinci white gamut. That's one of the reasons why you've just got to be a subscriber to this YouTube channel, so that you can always get future notice about all of these things. This helps you to be able to work, it gives you the display of your graph, and then you'll be able to understand your color space. But of course, we are not working in that, so I will take this back to the default that it was, which is just going to be my default timeline settings. And you can always change that if you want. Just come to your color management and change it to, presently right now this is what I am using for this particular project. There are projects that would even allow me to work on bigger space, but this one I am working on Davinci YRGB. So thank you. I hope you have been able to get value for your time, and that's it. And that's how scopes can take your color grading to the next level. Remember, scopes are like having a compass in your creative journey. They guide your adjustments and helps you to stay true to your vision. So next time you are grading, trust your scopes and watch your work transform. If you have found this helpful, if you have found value for your time, don't forget to like this video. It helps our algorithm to push my video. And then remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well for more tips, and hit that notification bell so that you never miss an update. Thank you so very much. And if you are new to Davinci Resolve, you've got to see these 2 videos. One is a video and the other is a playlist. I've got over 20 playlists on YouTube channel. So I've got 20 videos that is just dedicated to Davinci Resolve. So if you are new to Davinci Resolve, ensure you check this out, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks.